Hello, I'm Maurice Powell. Welcome to A Little Light Music, Manx Radio's regular Thursday evening classical music hour. I should say light classical, nothing too heavy, nothing too long this evening. And we're going to start with a bright and breezy overture by James Langley. It's called Overture and Beginners, written in 1965. Langley was a BBC producer in Manchester. He was an examiner on various examining boards and musical director of the Midland Youth Orchestra, a very busy chap. So this overture evokes really what it's like to be in a theatre. The lights dim, the call boys are out and about looking for the first people on stage, and the curtain is about to go up. James Langley, Overture and Beginners. James Langley's Overture and Beginners. And now to the music of Clive Richardson, a composer of British light music, that wonderful genre that we base our programme on. He's appeared on the programme several times, but I don't think I've played this piece before. This is Holiday Spirit. Richardson was very important in the light music scene during the 1940s and 50s. Pre-war, his career was mainly in films and the theatre music, and he apparently wrote the music for most of the famous Will Hay comedy films, but apparently was never credited on screen with that. Seems a shame. Clive Richardson, Holiday Spirit. Holiday Spirit by Clive Richardson. And now to the music of the inexhaustible Percy Grainger. Apart from being an inventive, sometimes bizarre and wayward composer, he was also a wonderful pianist and in fact made his name in England as a pianist. He was born in Australia, as many of you will know. When he first came to England, it was as a pianist that he first made a name for himself. However, the rest is history. Apart from being an excellent pianist, he wrote some charming piano music of his own, but was a wonderful arranger for piano of other people's music. So here is a piece by Sir Charles Villiers Stanford, Leprechaun Dance, arranged for piano by Percy Grainger. As for leprechauns, well, I've personally never seen any, but Percy Grainger, in a note about this piece, said that leprechauns were tiny male fairies with tall hats and knee breeches. So if you ever see anybody like that, there's a good chance they could be a leprechaun. An arrangement there by Percy Grainger of Stanford's Leprechaun's Dance. Now, what comes into your mind when you think of the music of Vaughan Williams? Is it perhaps The Lark Ascending, one of the most beautiful pieces of English music ever written? The Folk Song Suite, perhaps? The Songs of Travel. But what about this? Bit of a shock, isn't it? It's certainly a far cry from The Lark Ascending. That was the opening of Vaughan Williams' Fourth Symphony, composed between 1931 and 1934. It's a brutal, anguished piece, opening there with grinding clashes and dissonances. I think it was of this work, after hearing it, that Vaughan Williams said, I don't like it, but it's what I meant. Well, don't worry, you can come out from behind the sofa now, because I'm not going to hear any more of that at the moment. What I thought I would play for you is another piece of Vaughan Williams, written in 1904. This is In the Fen Country. It's an eerie evocation, really, of those open skies of the Norfolk, Lincolnshire, North Cambridgeshire fen country. Sort of occasional windmills, Dutch-like dikes, huge open skies, a very haunted kind of landscape. It's a little bit like, I suppose, a companion piece to The Lark Ascending, but rather more austere. It's very beautiful, even if it's gravely beautiful, and I hope you enjoy it. It's conducted for us this evening by John Wilson and the BBC Philharmonic Orchestra. This is Vaughan Williams in the Fen Country. Vaughan Williams in the Fen Country, a gravely beautiful piece, I think you'll agree. And now something to lighten the mood. Bruce Campbell, another light music composer, like Robert Farnon, of course much more famous perhaps, a fellow Canadian. He obviously inherited some of Farnon's very idiosyncratic string sound. Campbell played the trombone in various British bands in the 1930s and began to compose himself in the late 1940s. Here is his main line, recorded in 1953. Bruce Campbell, Mainline. And now for some French music for a saxophone quartet. In fact, a quartet of lady saxophonists, the Fairer Sax. This is a piece by Jean Francais. It's called, if I pronounce it correctly, which I'm sure I won't, Gargouenardise, which apparently means mockery or something like it. It's from his little suite for 4 saxophones. So, the very amiable and jaunty music of Jean Francais. very perky, charming piece by the French composer Jean-Français, played by the fairer sax, four delightful lady saxophonists, and we may hear more of them perhaps in the next programme. And now for a waltz sequence by a composer that very rarely appears in this series, and I can't think why, except of course the competition is very, very strong when it comes to sort of Viennese style waltzes. We have of course the Strauss dynasty to contend with. This is a waltz by Emil Waldteufel, born in Strasbourg, but really just as much a part of the Viennese waltz scene as the Strauss families. I would say he's as good a composer as the famous waltz king himself. Well, we shall see. One thing I have noticed, doing a little bit of research into concert programmes here, particularly the famous Sunday concerts, right from back into the 1880s up to the Second World War, is that certainly before the First World War, Waldteufel's name is rarely absent from any programme. That's this famous Sunday concerts at the Villa, the Palace, the Derby Castle, and of course the afternoon concerts in the Villa Marina Gardens. His name is always there. His waltzes and his polkas were extremely popular. So imagine that you're in a deck chair, dozing off very nicely in the Villa Marina Gardens, somewhere in the 1920s or 30s. Here is a valse sequence by Waldteufel. If I can get the pronunciation right, it'll be a miracle. La Studiantina. That was the waltz sequence La Studiantina by Emil Waldteufel, as I say, a composer whose name appeared in the concert programmes for the Sunday concerts and the concerts in the Villa Marina Gardens for many, many decades. Fine composer and a fine sequence of waltzes. And now something very English, not Viennese at all. This is the music of Ernest Tomlinson, who died only 4 or 5 years ago. He was one of the sort of second generation, the post-war generation of light music composers, along with Farnon and so on. In other words, the generation after Hayden Wood and Eric Coates. This is one of his most attractive little pieces. It's an arrangement of the English folk dance Jenny Pluck Pears, the music of Ernest Tomlinson. Jenny Pluck Pears from his first suite of English folk dances by Ernest Tomlinson. A lovely, lovely piece. What a wonderful orchestrator he was. Very imaginative, beautiful wash of string sound there, occasional touches of harp and woodwind solos. A very fine composer indeed. Now to something completely different. This is Kurt Weil's Mac the Knife. It's a piece that's not appeared in this series ever, I don't think. As I say, Kurt Weil from the Threepenny Opera, played here by the Klebanov Strings. Kurt Weil's Mac the Knife. And that brings us to the end of the programme. I hope, as ever, that you've enjoyed my selection. It's been quite varied, hasn't it, really? I've certainly enjoyed it myself, and I enjoy putting these programmes together. There's no doubt about that. So we need something jolly now to play us out. Please join me next Thursday at 9. In the meantime, here's Yehudi Menuin and Stefan Grappelli, that most unlikely of duettists, but works so brilliantly, playing Gershwin's "Oh Lady Be Good," which reminds me that "Oh Lady Be Good" was the signature tune of the wonderful Ivy Benson and her all-girl band, who of course played here every summer season from the mid-50s until the mid-60s. More of that later. Menuin, Grappelli, Gershwin. Goodbye.